Welcome back to Instant Experts, all the latest news explained by idiots. It's a special bonus mini episode presented by The Honk and me, Henry Lee. Honky, it's a beautiful day in Sydney. It's a weekend. What are we doing here?
Well, as we always say, stupid never sleeps, but you know, Australia's just had 10% tariffs imposed on it, and so we owe at least our American listeners 10% more material.
Excellent. Okay, well...
specifically about tariffs.
Indeed. Well, my question to you then is, do the tariffs make any more sense today than they did yesterday?
Well, no, and people have been asking us, and so this is why we're doing this additional episode. The answer is absolutely not. Once again, these tariffs are not a tax on anyone except the Americans who are going to have to pay more for the items that they're importing.
Many of which, of course, are not able to be made in America, and all of which would be cheaper if they were.
Would not be cheaper if they were.
Sorry, would not be cheaper.
Would
That's
not
right.
be cheaper,
Yeah. America, for example, doesn't make any coffee outside tiny amounts in Hawaii because it turns out you need to be in the tropics to grow coffee.
Yeah, indeed.
And so
Hawaii only makes one thing, which is very popular in the United States, but it's not coffee.
Yeah, it goes well with reggae.
It does.
And of course, as we said yesterday, the calculations are based on trade deficits, not actual tariff rates other countries apply to US goods.
Yeah, but apart from that, it's a brilliant
Exactly.
scheme.
So Trump is actually trying to eliminate trade deficits, not have reciprocal tariffs. And even then, he's putting tariffs on nations like us, with which the US has a trade surplus. So it's basically an economic illiterate having a tantrum.
Totally.
Or as somebody else said, it's basically the guy I buy birdseed from is ripping me off. He and I should be selling each other equal amounts of birdseed. And if you were, you'd still tariff his birdseed 10%.
Yeah, that's the bit I don't understand. Just take me through that bit. Even when you've got a trade imbalance in the America's favour, they're still imposing.
That's right.
So then also, so even though he's miscalculated the whole thing based on trade deficits, not tariffs.
Yeah.
If I have that right. Even then, when there's a trade deficit in America's favour,
correct,
he's still imposing a tariff. What's the logic of that?
Correct. It's like a hedge fund guy fighting the dry cleaner for the right to iron his own shirts.
Yeah, but what's the logic of it?
He's just he's being a bully and a moron. And the world's reacted accordingly, hasn't it?
It has. Some beautiful, and beautifully expressed fuck yous. Jaguar Land Rover. Owned now by an Indian conglomerate, I think.
Yes, famous British names,
yeah,
but owned by Indians now.
And they've announced. They haven't said Trump can go and get fucked. They've said there's a pause on the export of Jaguars and Land Rovers, Jaguars and Rolls Royces. I'm sorry, to the United States.
Well, the US should be able to manufacture Rolls Royces in the US, shouldn't they? They can whip up a 100-year-old prestige car brand made famous by the royal family by what, Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah. You're just going to have to come in on the weekend, right? Trump will be playing golf, but you'll need to come in on minimum wage to do it by Monday.
That's right. Reanimating the Queen might be a struggle.
That might be, but you've got to want it.
We wish them well. The one I liked is Cambodia, Vietnam and Laos, which, as we mentioned in the episode, have copped the three highest tariffs in the world.
Yeah, what are they, like 49, 50%?
Yeah, very close to 50%. And the surprise has been they've agreed to the tariffs on one condition.
What's that condition?
Well, they too are demanding reciprocity.
What, in tariffs?
Well, not quite, in bombing.
Right.
So, as you know, the US bombed the shit out of Vietnam, Cambodia and Laos in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, allegedly. The US has never admitted that. That's an allegation.
So it's fair to say the tariffs, on top of that, didn't go down too well.
No.
So their plan is to send some B-52s into New York City.
Oh, I see, right.
Yeah, it'll be like bombed on the 4th of July.
Yeah, so it's like that bit of south of LA. They're going to rename it, like Agent Orange County?
Exactly. And Trump will be playing golf at Napalm Beach.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
He loves the smell of complete idiocy in the morning.
Correct. And of course, the coalition of the willing is breaking up.
We called this one some time ago.
We did. We suspected the Trump-Musk relationship wouldn't last. Can't have two main characters in the story.
It's only ever one hero in the Trump story. It is interesting, by the way, how fast Musk's been completely fucked by Trump. Right? He spent close to $300 million. US dollars, didn't
buying the election, yeah, wasted
buying the election,
30 in Wisconsin, losing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at some point, no doubt, in coming episodes. As we said, we did flag it, and Trump just recently announced, just in the last couple of days, that Musk is finishing up soon in his role as as head of DOGE, the government efficiency program.
Yes,
and he this beautiful excuse, which is after a certain number of days, 100 odd and something days, Musk has to go through a formal vetting process if he's going to be continued to be employed by the federal government. Although, since when has Trump ever given a fuck about any of these formal rules, right? I mean, he's clearly just firing him because he's become an embarrassment to Trump.
I'm looking forward to Muskie saying, I want to spend more time with my families.
Yeah.
All 17 of them.
All 17 of them. The only question is whether they want to spend any time with him. I doubt it very seriously. And but so he's announced that Musk is finishing up. And
how's Musk taken that?
Well, he's come out literally in the last sort of less than 24 hours, overnight, saying that he's called for free trade between the United States and Europe. What's the current tariff that Trump's imposed?
20% on the EU.
Yeah, but Musk, who's part of the government, had said he wants free trade.
By the way, the current rate, the effective rate is 1%.
So
the reciprocal tariff on 1% is 20% in Trump's mind.
Yeah, to balance out, to make them equal.
Yeah, correct.
And
now Trump's called for 0%. So
I mean,
I'm glad we shared this moment together. I think we're all on the same page here.
Clearly.
Except someone's in the top left corner, someone's in the bottom right-hand corner.
Indeed.
It's like that great debate of where do you put the page number?
Yeah.
And there's some people at top right and some people at bottom right.
Yeah.
Some people at center.
Yeah.
So Trump and Musk are heading in very different directions.
And of course, the fact that Musk suddenly decided that he wants completely free trade between Europe and the United States has got nothing to do with Trump firing him. And it probably has everything to do with the fact that sales of Tesla are down about what in Europe? They're about 75% now?
Yeah, at least. Could be, somewhere between 75 and 900%.
Yeah. But it was great that Trump, on the way out the door, of course, made an effort to sort of try to talk him up, saying, he's done a great job.
Yeah,
we've talked many times in the show about all the things he has failed to find and things he has found that in fact are not in fact cuts, not in fact mismanagement, not waste. But Trump did flag that he's going to reveal on the way out the door, Musk, that he did find something horrible and shocking, which is going to shock the whole world.
Yeah, what a fat guy playing golf.
That's a fat guy playing golf when he's meant to be working. It's outrageous. Now, at the cost, apparently, what's the security cost so far? I said some number like $38 million so far.
I think it's like $3 million a weekend. It's
just
much of which is paid to Trump's resorts, of course.
Of course.
One of his master grifts. So the big question here is who gets the Nazis in the breakup, Honky?
This is the question. Yeah, it is the...
Himmler and Goering to Musk. Goebbels to Trump.
Well, let's talk about the real, the modern day Nazis.
Yeah.
The tricky one is, the sort of the bro boy Nazi sort of idiots, they'll sort of go wherever they're going to go.
Yeah.
The issue is never about it's like in a divorce. It's not about, this property or that property. It's always about sort of finicky details,
The guy gets the jet ski. And
right. And so who gets Steve Bannon? Where does he go? I don't think anybody wants Steve Bannon.
Might go to one of those foster homes in Poland.
Why Poland?
You of all people should remember
Indeed,
the war.
Yeah. Or can't they just send him to one of those special foster homes they used to send kids to that were run by the Catholic priesthood in the early 60s?
They might be an improvement, to be fair.
Yeah, indeed.
And Steve Miller's the one that gets me. He's got the unique distinction of being the first Jewish Nazi that I'm aware of.
We're very proud. My people are very proud of this great...
Yeah,
finally crossing the streams there.
Where do you see him going?
Well, I heard actually that he's going to be moving out of the White House too. Trump has found him a very special job, which the Democrats actually suggested, but Trump loves it, which is that he's going to be like a personal on the ground peace liaison officer in Gaza, and he's going to be embedded with Hamas. It's going to go really well.
Now there's a grassroots movement happening, Honky. There are big protests.
Tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands it look like, which of course the Republicans immediately claimed were all paid protesters, in which case,
of course,
it would have cost a lot of money.
And remarkable casting, since they look like they came from every walk of life, had made their own signs. It's an amazing piece of... that's how good the casting was.
Indeed, some of the signs are good too. The one I liked the most was a sort of kid holding up a sign saying, "So fucked up, even introverts are here."
So good. And but the movement's been called, what's it been called? It's called the Hands Off movement.
It's called the Hands Off movement, yeah.
And,
which we think is about the Doge cuts and the tariff and other MAGA madness.
Yeah.
But there is one other explanation.
Well, the other theory is that it's a reference to the Congresswoman Lauren Boebert.
Oh, Boebert, yeah.
Now, Lauren Boebert, of course, she's from Colorado. This is the grandmother at the age of 38.
38, yeah.
I think she's got 4 kids, one of whom's in jail. She, of course, is now in a relationship.
She's out on community service. Amazingly, the Republican judge...
Oh, amazing.
didn't
right
see
after
fit, put it away.
right after his house was firebombed. But we have mentioned, I think, that she's in a relationship. Have we mentioned that she's in a relationship?
Yeah,
with...
so her mother gave birth to her at 18. She gave birth at 18, had 4 kids, and amazingly got divorced at 35 or 36.
Of course.
The 4 kids at 18 relationship didn't work out.
Who could believe it?
So she's now a free woman.
But have we said before on the show?
With needs.
Well, have we not said
she's like the Usha Vance of the Central West?
Yeah, but have we not said that have we said that she's in a relationship with Kid Rock?
I don't know, but
we'll have to come back to that story. Yeah. But in the meantime, of course, the thing which was notorious about Lauren Boebert, while lecturing the whole country on values and decent behaviour, she and her first date, she was on a first date, were thrown out of a
pre-Kid Rock.
Pre-Kid Rock. Well, maybe, who knows? I think pre-Kid Rock. Were thrown out of a performance of the musical Wicked in Denver because I think that there was. How to put this delicately on God's day on a Sunday.
A little bit hanky-panky.
Well, there was some over the pants hand action by her, and I think a little under the pants action by him.
In the theatre.
It was caught on security camera. They were removed forcibly and made a fuss when they were removed. Objected to the objection they shouldn't be giving each other hand jobs and and finger work.
Is it free speech? Isn't there something about free speech? Is it free speech to give hand jobs in a crowded theatre?
If campaign finance is speech,
I know you can't shout fire, but they didn't say anything about hand jobs.
But isn't clip work that is if campaign finance is free speech, isn't clip work also? I don't know. It's an intriguing question. It's an expression. It's an expression. I don't know. Anyway, so it could be an objection to her, and she's had some great moments. So it could be.
She had a big week too.
Well, tell the story.
Well, they've released a whole bunch of files related to the JFK assassination.
Yes, indeed.
And in relation to that, Oliver Stone, who has a great interest in the case and
directed
a movie about it called JFK, might have written it as well.
He did.
Yeah. And anyway, Lauren Boebert, in a, I guess, congressional hearing, put it to Oliver Stone that he'd alleged that LBJ had ordered the killing of JFK.
And she said that he alleged that he had made this allegation in a book that he wrote. And then it was pointed out by a colleague of Oliver Stone.
And he looked thoroughly confused. Oliver Stone is in the hearing and he looked thoroughly confused. Like, what are you talking about, Willis?
Yeah. And so in answer to that question, what are you talking about, Willis, a colleague of Stone's, Oliver Stone's, the director that is, went into the microphone to point out that Lauren Boebert, Congresswoman, was probably confusing him with the Republican operative Roger Stone, who had written a book, not directed a movie, had written a book alleging that LBJ, President Lyndon Johnson, had ordered the assassination of JFK. And it does beg the big question, right? Which is...
Honky, who got the hand job?
Who got the hand job? So it was meant for Roger Stone, but it might have been...
Accidentally slipped to Oliver.
Yeah. And he's been in Hollywood. You know, it's obviously, he's seen a few things in Hollywood.
Wasted on him, he would have had...
He's been out of action for 20 years. It might have, be the little spring in his step that he needs.
I don't think Roger Stone would get too much these days, ever.
I don't know that Roger Stone is particularly interested in a hand job from Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, if you know what I mean.
Maybe Lindsey Graham would be more his speed.
I would think so. But this all brings us anyway, there's a lot of protests, but all of this brings us
the hands-off movement is the point.
The point is the hands-off movement. If you forgot the point, even we almost forgot the point. But all this brings us back to the tariffs and, being, as you said.
The other reason we're here, which is we made a boo-boo yesterday, which we didn't, 10% tariffs have been imposed on Australia. And questions came in from listeners all over the world.
Yes.
What about the penguins?
So what they're talking about is a couple of very strange quirks of the tariff announcement by Trump. One was that the Heard and McDonald Islands, which are sort of closer to Antarctica, aren't they, than anywhere else?
They're 2/3 of the way from Madagascar to Antarctica.
Right. So they are...
Some of the most remote land masses in the world.
And more particularly, they had a 10% tariff imposed on them. Now, a couple of very weird things. Number one, they are uninhabited.
By people.
By people.
Lots of seals and lots of penguins.
Yeah. So what? It's unclear what was actually... Well, the first question is, well, we'll come back to that other question, but why then was an uninhabited island having a 10% tariffs imposed on it? It turns out, in fact, there is a small amount of what are Patagonian toothfish,
right,
which are caught in those waters and exported to the United States. In fact, those are marketed as Chilean sea bass. because they are truly terrifying, horrific-looking fish with huge, sharp teeth. And they're called Chilean sea bass so as not to terrify customers into thinking that what they're about to eat is actually possibly about to eat them first.
Right, so a 10% tariff on Patagonian toothfish.
Yeah. But the weird bit is...
Well, that's good for the fish. I mean, that means they're going to live longer, doesn't it?
I would think, yeah.
Because no one wants to fish them anymore.
Yeah, indeed. But the weird bit is that Heard Island, McDonald Island, although as you said they're closer to Antarctica than anywhere else, they are an external territory of Australia.
Yeah.
So who is so dumb that they put a 10% tariff, didn't make this tariff on Heard Island exports part of the 10% on Australia?
Yes. What's
the answer to that?
Well, it turns out Trump and his little minions used ChatGPT or its equivalent to produce
ChatGOP, was that what we said last week?
To produce the famous tariffs table that Trump was holding up when he was doing his announcement, and the ChatGPT based the tariff calculations on internet domains, not actual countries. And it turns out Heard Island and the McDonald Islands has its own country code and domain.
Well, can we just talk about that? Sorry, are the penguins sending emails to the toothfish? Are the toothfish and the penguins sexting each other? I don't know what's going on.
Watch out for the teeth. Yeah. If you get an email from Angry Feet at gmail.hm, you'll know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
But the weirder one still was Norfolk Island, which is also an external territory of Australia.
So you would think,
and it's quite close to Australia.
It is, and
right there.
Now you would think it should also have 10%, but it actually got 29%.
Yeah.
Now again, the answer is, why is it treated differently from Australia? Because it's one answer is because it's got its own domain name, right?
Yeah, which is NF.
Not. You surely.
It might be NFI, but strictly speaking, it's NF.
So that's very weird. But we were sort of thinking then, well, if it's part of Australia, quite apart from the dumbness of not making it part of the Australian tariff rate, why is it at 29, not 10%? Like, what the fuck does it export to the United States the America should be worried about?
And you do have a theory on this, Honk, which...
Well, I finally remembered it, which is Norfolk. Norfolk Island is one of the two places in the world that a lot of the descendants of the Bounty mutineers
Fletcher Christian
and all those guys.
They fled from Captain Bligh.
Now, it's a very popular tourist destination, Norfolk Island, but it has had a lot of weird sex murder, including murder by Norfolk Islanders of American tourists.
Right. I think the two things go together. I think Bounty descendants and freaky shit go together. Pitcairn Island is one of the weirdest, most inbred societies in the world.
Very strange, with a very strange, sex murder, a sex cult thing going on there as well. But the answer is this, that in Norfolk Island, so you've got these weird sex murders, and this made, Trump loves nothing more than talking about the good old days.
Yeah.
And he wants to bring them back in all ways when America, ran the world. And one of the areas where America led the world was serial killers. America invented the serial killer. You think about the greats. Look at the greats.
Yeah.
These are the greats of the sport. Ed Gein, Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, the Green River Killer, the I-90 Killer, the Golden State Killer, the Night Stalker. So he said there's no way Trump's going to cede serial killers to Norfolk Island. He wants to bring it back to America.
Yeah, the former task force.
Who would you get?
Got to be the Zodiac.
Well, they've never caught him, right?
No, he's still out there.
So, and they're going to call it, I think they're going to call it Mama, right?
Mama, yeah.
To make America murder again. Is that... And
I'm not sure it ever really stopped.
Indeed, but he
they just switched their focus to schools.
Yeah, but indeed, but they never caught the Zodiac killer. I mean, he killed a bunch of teenagers, innocent cab drivers. But if it can be useful to Trump, a deal's a deal, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct.
And if they can bring in Mel Gibson and John Voight to de-wokeify Hollywood,
why not bring back the Zodiac?
Yeah, indeed. And don't charge him with anything. Just appoint him to a task force, right?
That's right. It won't have to be vetted.
So that's the answer. That's
just
why,
a consultant.
Indeed. That's why you have 100 odd days and then...
and then he's out.
Yeah, and then he's out.
It should be 20 people or so.
And then he could be the only guy that's ever successful in Doge, right? A whole lot of people go missing in the workforce. And so we'll know. But anyway, that is the explanation about what's going on with the penguins. And Trump doesn't like penguins. We said some weeks ago he doesn't like turtles. Fuck the turtles. And he doesn't like penguins. And that explains Norfolk Island. Why 29%?
Make America great again in relation to serial killing.
Yeah.
All right, let's close it off. More criticism for us yesterday. We haven't covered the Australian election. Our official position is it's so boring. that we don't want to.
But people have actually been quite nice. Some of our overseas listeners have said, but, it must be so nice to live in a country with like rational debate and rational leaders and good policies, about healthcare and so forth. But it's very sweet of you to think so. But I just want to, Bruce, bring you up to date on the two key events of the last week in the Australian election. The first one was that our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, he denies it, but there's video of it. He came on a stage, kept walking and fell off the stage. Had a photo opportunity.
That's quality leadership.
Not to be outdone.
Yes, the Conservative Party is known as the Liberal Party, go figure. The Conservative Party leader, Peter Dutton, managed to, during a photo opportunity, kicking a footy, kick it straight into the head of a cameraman.
Drew blood.
Started bleeding profusely.
Yeah. So that's the choice that we're facing us.
Yeah, so we've got a choice between low-level violence and low-level incompetence.
Yeah, it's pretty riveting stuff. So
pretty hard-hitting stuff.
So when we're judging America, we're well aware that we're hardly in a position to judge.
Yes. As I say, hard-hitting stuff, a bit like this podcast.
Yes, indeed.
It was supposed to be a mini. It's probably turned into a medium. Profound apologies, but we enjoyed it. We hope you did too. We'll wrap it there. You can catch us in all the usual locations, Twitter, Instagram, Guantanamo Bay probably.
Yeah, and in all seriousness, of course, that should be us very soon, Guantanamo Bay. Sure as hell won't be the US anytime soon once we get to the airport.
Herd Island, possibly.
Quite possibly Herd Island. But in all seriousness, in our show notes, you can send us text. You can see a way to email us. All the links are there to follow us any which way you want.
And
when are we back? We're
back next weekend because stupid never sleeps.
Stupid never sleeps, neither do we, which is why we're here on a Sunday with love for our listeners. And we'll see you with a big episode at the end of the week.
Bye.
See ya.